better to deny yourself than the truth. The first thing you need to know is something I have stated again and again over the past 2 decades. You are what you believe. The second thing you need to know is a continuation of the first. You always act in accordance with what you believe. Anyone who denies those 2 axioms is totally deluded, acting in accordance with a delusional belief that it does not matter what one believes. Such a person will most certainly not benefit from anything I am going to explain here. Best for him to stop reading right now. For the benefit of the rest of you, I continue. Jesus made a very intriguing statement on at least 2 occasions, if not more. But if you do not know what the Greeks believed about the soul, you will undoubtedly not understand what he was talking about, much less what he meant by what he said. Matthew tells us Jesus said the following in the context of talking about the end of the age, and the circumstances that true believers will be forced to face. Matthew chapter 10, verses 21 through 39, my standardized translation. Then a brother will hand a brother over to death, and a father, a child, and children will stand up against parents and put them to death. And you will be hated by everyone because of my name, but the one who has continued on to the consummation under harsh circumstances, this individual will be saved. So when they persecute you in this city, flee to the other. For without doubt I tell you, you will definitely not complete the cities of Israel until the time comes when the Son of the Man comes. A disciple is not greater than his teacher, neither is a slave greater than his owner. It is enough for the disciple that he has become like his teacher, and the slave, like his owner. If they call the owner of the house Beelzebul, how much more the members of his house? Therefore, do not be afraid of them, for there is nothing that has been covered that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be made known. Whatever I tell you in the darkness, speak in the light, and whatever you hear in your ear, preach on top of their domicile. And do not be afraid of the things that kill the body but cannot kill the soul, but instead, be afraid of the one who can do away with both body and soul in the trash pit. Are 2 sparrows not sold for a 4-cent piece? And not one of them will fall onto the earth without your Father. But even all the hairs of your head are numbered. Therefore, do not be afraid, you matter more than many sparrows. Therefore, everyone who acknowledges the truth about me in front of men, I also will acknowledge the truth about him in front of my Father, who is in the heavens. But whoever it might be who denies me in front of men, I also will deny him in front of my Father, who is in the heavens. You should not presume that I came to cast peace onto the earth. I did not come to cast peace but a sword. For I came to make a man disagree with his father, and a daughter with her mother and a bride with her mother-in-law. Even the members of his house will be the man's enemies. The one who is more fond of father or mother than me, is not worthy of me, and the one who is more fond of son or daughter than me, is not worthy of me. And whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me, is not worthy of me. The one who has found his soul will do away with it, and the one who has done away with his soul on account of me will find it. I am not going to get into an in-depth discussion regarding Greek beliefs in regard to the soul. The only thing you really need to know in that regard is this: the soul is where you evaluate the truthfulness of things you hear, and decide what you believe. That's why Jesus said what he said about the truth he taught dividing the various members of a family. Belief in the truth sometimes does that, with a vengeance. Even to the point where some family members would go so far as to cause the death of other members. So before you evaluate the truth God called me to explain, and choose to believe, you might want to count the cost. It can sometimes be extremely expensive, as far as family relationships go. But that's for you to decide, so you can get on with that while I show you the next thing that Jesus said about the soul. Matthew chapter 16, verses 21 through 28, my standardized translation. At that time, Jesus began to show his disciples that he had to go to Jerusalem, and suffer many things because of the elders, and high priests, and scribes, and be killed, and arise on the third day. So after taking him aside, Peter began to rebuke him, saying, Gracious you, your majesty. This will definitely not happen to you. But after he turned around, he told Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are a deadfall trap to me, because you do not have your mind set on the things of the living God, but the things of men. Then, Jesus told his disciples, If anyone wants to come after me, he must emphatically deny himself and pick up his cross and follow me. For whoever it may be who wants to save his soul will do away with it, but whoever it might be who does away with his soul will find it on account of me. For what man would gain a benefit if he gained the entire world, but lost his soul? Or what replacement will a man give for his soul? For the Son of the Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his messengers, and then he will pay each one back in accordance with his activity. Without doubt, I tell you that there are some of those who are standing here who will definitely not taste death until the time comes when they see the Son of the Man coming in his kingdom. Mark gives a similar account of the things that Jesus said on that occasion, but his account is not the same as Matthew's in all respects, so I will include it here. Mark chapter 8, verses 27 through 38, my standardized translation. Then Jesus and his disciples left for the villages of Caesarea Philippi. And on the way, he was asking his disciples a question, saying to them, Who do men say that I am? So they told him, saying that, Some say John the Baptist, and others Elijah, but others that you are one of the prophets. So he was asking them a question, But you, who do you say that I am? In response, Peter tells him, You are the Anointed One. Then he rebuked them, so that they would not tell anyone about him. And he began to teach them that the Son of the Man has to suffer many things, and be completely rejected by the elders and the high priests and the scribes, and be killed, and rise after 3 days. So he was speaking the word candidly, yet after taking him aside, Peter began to rebuke him. But then he, after turning around and seeing his disciples, rebuked Peter and says, Get behind me, Satan, because you do not have your mind set on the things of the living God, but the things of men. Then after summoning the crowd, along with his disciples, he told them, If anyone wants to follow after me, he must emphatically deny himself and pick up his cross and follow me. For whoever it may be who wants to save his soul will do away with it, but whoever it might be who will do away with his soul on account of me, and the good news of the fulfillment of the promise will save it. For what benefit does it provide a man to gain the entire world and lose his own soul? For what replacement could a man give for his soul? For whoever it may be who is ashamed of me and my words in this generation, which is adulterous and sinful, the Son of the Man will also be ashamed of him, when he comes in the glory of his Father with the messengers that are holy. Luke also gives an account of the things that Jesus said on the same occasion that both Matthew and Mark describe. Luke chapter 9, verses 18 through 27, my standardized translation. Then it happened that the disciples were completely alone with him while he was praying, so he asked them a question, saying, Who do the crowd say that I am? So then they, in response said, Some say John the Baptist, but others Elijah, but others that a prophet, one of the ancients has risen. So he said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" So Peter, in response said, "The Anointed One of the living God." And then after he rebuked them, he instructed them not to tell this to anyone, telling them that, the Son of the Man has to suffer many things, and be completely rejected by the elders, and high priests, and scribes, and be killed, and arise on the third day. And then he was saying to everyone, "If anyone wants to come after me, he must deny himself and pick up his cross each and every day and follow me. For whoever it might be who wants to save his soul will do away with it, but whoever it might be who does away with his soul on account of me, this individual will save it. For what benefit does a man who has gained the entire world, but has done away with himself or been lost, gain? For whoever it might be who is ashamed of me and my words, the Son of the Man will be ashamed of this individual when he comes back in the glory, he and the Father, and the holy messengers has. But I tell you truly, there are some of those standing here who will definitely not taste death until the time comes when they see the kingdom of the living God." The point of what Jesus said about an individual losing, saving, or doing away with his soul, can easily be missed if one does not know that, according to beliefs current at that time, the soul is where we all decide what we believe is true. But the point of what he meant by what he said will be overlooked completely if one does not pay close attention to the context in which Jesus made the following statement. Matthew chapter 16, verse 24, my standardized translation. Then, Jesus told his disciples, "If anyone wants to come after me, he must emphatically deny himself and pick up his cross and follow me." Mark chapter 8, verse 34, my standardized translation. Then after summoning the crowd along with his disciples, he told them, "If anyone wants to follow after me, he must emphatically deny himself and pick up his cross and follow me." Luke chapter 9, verse 23, my standardized translation. And then he was saying to everyone, "If anyone wants to come after me, he must deny himself and pick up his cross each and every day and follow me." As you can see, there is very little variation in the three accounts. All mention denying oneself and picking up one's cross. But here's the thing you need to keep in mind. Jesus made that statement immediately after telling his disciples that he had to go up to Jerusalem and be killed, so that he could arise on the third day. However, the verb translated killed only serves to obfuscate what he actually told his disciples. Since capital punishment at that time was meted out by crucifixion, you can bet your knickers, and your bippy, that the cross that Jesus had in mind was one on which he expected his followers would be crucified and die. I put crucified in quotes, because Jesus is speaking parabolically in terms of a person hearing the truth of the living Word of God, and denying the person he has been, thereby losing, saving, or doing away with his soul. You know, the part of the person that decides what one believes. Okay, I get it. You have never looked at those passages that way before. No problem. I'll wait right here while you go back and read the three passages from that perspective. You might also want to read the first passage, Matthew chapter 10, verses 21 through 39 again. Just keep in mind the fact that Jesus Christ is the truth of the living Word that he believed. Deny that truth, you have denied him. Take it or leave it. You can deny the things God called me to explain if you care to, or dare to. Not my concern. The Lord will evaluate your decision for you, when he returns. He'll be along shortly. In the meantime, I'm just doing what God called me to do to prepare those who still have an ear to hear.